I thought I was moving into a quiet neighborhood when I bought the old cottage on Riverbend Drive. After years of city chaos, the tiny place with a wraparound porch and a sliver of creek access seemed perfect. I imagined evenings with my feet in the water, mornings paddling the kayak, and neighbors who waved politely but mostly kept to themselves. That illusion lasted less than a week. The first knock came on a bright Saturday morning while I was sanding down the porch railings. A woman in her late 50s, sharp gray bob and sharper eyes, stood on the steps. She wore a navy blazer despite the heat and carried a clipboard pressed to her chest like a shield. "Welcome to Brookridge," she said, voice clipped, smile mechanical. "I'm Marjorie Klein, president of the Brookridge Homeowners Association." I didn't even know there was an HOA. My realtor had mentioned optional community fees, but I assumed it was the kind of thing you could shrug off. Marjorie wasted no time. She handed me a packet of documents covered in seals and signatures. "Your initiation fee is $300. Monthly dues are $150, payable immediately. This covers creek maintenance, security patrols, and community beautification." I tried to laugh it off. "I appreciate the welcome, but I'm not looking to join an HOA. I bought the house outright. I'll handle my own maintenance." Her smile cracked into something brittle. "That's not how things work here. Everyone participates. Everyone pays, without exceptions." She lingered on that last phrase like it was a threat. I handed the papers back, firm but polite. "Not interested." Her eyes hardened. "Then we'll have a problem." 2 days later, a county deputy pulled into my driveway after a trespassing complaint. Apparently, Marjorie had reported me for using community water access without paying fees. The deputy, a tired man named Ruiz, quickly realized this was a neighbor dispute gone wild. He documented her complaint, told us to resolve it civilly, and left. But the damage was done. By nightfall, half the neighborhood had heard I was some sort of freeloader stealing community resources. I tried ignoring it. I focused on repainting the shutters, cleaning up the yard, and setting a few fishing lines in the creek. But Marjorie didn't stop. Flyers appeared on telephone poles, accusing me of violating community bylaws. Cars slowed as they passed my house, drivers craning their necks. Anonymous notes stuffed in my mailbox told me to pay up or move out. The weirdest part was the official look of it all. Marjorie staged herself like a bureaucrat with authority, waving papers with stamps and seals I couldn't get close enough to read. She insisted the creek was community property, and that my dock, clearly on my deed, was subject to HOA control. When I asked for proof, she angled the pages so I could only see the letterhead, never the words. It rattled me more than I wanted to admit. My grandfather, who left me a small inheritance that helped buy this place, had taught me to always check paperwork. So I dug through county records, old maps, tax documents. Everything confirmed the creek frontage was part of my parcel. Yet her absolute confidence gnawed at me, making me question whether I'd missed something buried in fine print. By the end of the month, the harassment escalated. Someone hammered survey flags into my backyard in crooked lines that cut my property in half. Marjorie led groups of neighbors in staged documentation events, standing at my dock holding signs about fair fees while she snapped photos. She started a neighborhood group chat I never joined, but still ended up added to, where residents were told I was abusing community trust. That's when I met Dana. She showed up one evening just as I was locking the shed. Early 40s, kind eyes, nervous glance over her shoulder. She carried a jar of homemade jam, like a peace offering. "I'm sorry about all this," she whispered. "I've lived here 10 years. It's never been like this until Marjorie. She makes everything about control." I invited her onto the porch, and for the first time, someone actually listened instead of accusing. Before she left, she slipped me a folded note. Inside was a phone number and 6 words. "Check the HOA finances. Something's off." The next week felt like a tug of war. Marjorie staged a live stream in front of my house, complete with portable lights and a microphone, telling viewers I was hoarding natural resources. I recorded a calm response video, standing at my dock with property markers in view, explaining I paid taxes on every square foot. My clip didn't go viral, but it circulated enough to make people ask questions. Why was I paying property taxes if it wasn't mine? Where were the actual HOA documents? Then Dana sent me photos. They showed Marjorie's home office calendar, with notes about emergency meetings that never happened, and maintenance inspections logged at times I'd been home and seen nothing. Even worse, they showed HOA expenses approved for thousands of dollars, yet no work had ever been done. The annual Creek Festival was coming up, a community event with food stalls and live music. Marjorie announced she would use it to hold a public boundary hearing, bringing an HOA lawyer to expose my lies. Dana and I decided it was the perfect stage to flip the script. We prepared folders of evidence, county maps, even a rented projector to overlay property lines on a live view of the creek. The festival started sunny and cheerful. Kids played ring toss, neighbors grilled hot dogs, and Marjorie erected a folding table draped in navy cloth like a courtroom bench. She spoke with theatrical authority, the lawyer at her side, painting me as a cheat trying to duck community obligations. For a while, the crowd nodded along. When it was my turn, I pulled up the projector. The official county survey glowed across a screen, perfectly matching the buoys I'd placed in the creek. Gasps rippled as neighbors realized my property line extended well into what Marjorie had claimed of community water. Then Dana stepped forward, voice steady, and revealed her records. Over $20,000 in HOA dues collected for maintenance that never happened. The crowd erupted. Residents who had written checks demanded answers. The lawyer, realizing the foundation was rotten, packed his briefcase and left without defending her. Marjorie's composure cracked. She shouted about freeloaders and responsibility, but every word dug her deeper. The county clerk, summoned by angry residents, confirmed on the spot that no such HOA authority existed over my property. Within days, Marjorie faced formal demands: repay the missing money, resign from the HOA board, and submit to a tax audit. Watching her pull down the HOA rule signs she'd nailed around the creek was surreal. She looked smaller, diminished, without the armor of authority. The neighbors who once avoided me now waved from across the water, offering real smiles instead of wary stares. A new system was born: voluntary contributions, open books, rotating representatives. No more queen of the neighborhood. Sometimes, when I sit on the dock at dusk, I think about how close she came to winning. One confident voice, armed with enough paper and intimidation, almost rewrote reality. But truth doesn't need a megaphone. It just needs someone stubborn enough to stand their ground, even when the whole neighborhood thinks you're wrong.